Our next guest is Shuhaida Adam. She's a registered social worker and she's at Islamic Careline. And of course, Islamic Careline is a counseling community development service based in Fordsburg, Johannesburg. Shuhaida has been with Careline for 12 years. I can't believe that you've been there that long. And she, of course, works closely with individuals, couples, families, and in various communities across South Africa. We've had very many discussions on air with her, and I'm so pleased that they're back again with this partnership with Salam Media to try and uplift families, individuals, and just try and give the support that is so really sorely needed in our community. Today, we're going to focus on relationship building skills for parent and child. So, Salaam alaikum to you, Shaida. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam. No, Jazakallah for having us. And like you said, it's amazing to be back. It's been such a long time, but alhamdulillah, I'm so great. I'm so grateful for the time you're giving us today.
Absolutely. We are grateful because we know by way of these conversations, we are sharing very important information with families. And I always say that if we've touched just one life by way of this show, then we've made a huge difference because one life touched impacts on 16 other lives in their immediate circles. And then the circle just grows bigger and bigger and bigger. So, Alhamdulillah. Let's kick off, Shuaida. You work very closely with families. What are the most, or some of the most common challenges you see in the parent child relationship today? And I know that's a very broad question because we have this range of the age groups. But if we can try and speak about this from a very universal standpoint.
So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. You said that I've been here for about 12 years now. And yes, we've seen different challenges over the 12 years, but when you actually break it down, the root of those challenges oftentimes are quite common amongst parents through the generations and through the different ages as well. We've seen a very strong disconnect between parent and child. Parents are struggling, children themselves are struggling. And of course, when we're all living together and interconnected relationships, when one part of the system is struggling, the other part of the system will struggle as well. So we are definitely seeing a struggle and a challenge in the connectedness, the relationship with the parent and the child. Parents are struggling with things like communication. They're struggling to implement discipline in their families. Parents ultimately also are struggling in their own relationships. They're struggling with themselves. Oftentimes, parents are experiencing a lot of stress, personal stress, workplace stress, marital stress, extended family stress, financial stress. So when parents are experiencing all of this, it has a very strong impact on the parenting of their children. And this is from, you know, the theory also talks about actually parenting starts from the womb. So prenatal level, when parents are experiencing difficulty, it impacts also on as the baby is growing in the mommy's womb. There's a connection there. So when parents are experiencing difficulty, the baby struggles a bit. There is that connectedness. So parents are struggling with that connection. Parents are struggling with the environment around them. So, many people are living in very difficult environments. It's not necessarily one of extreme, crimes or drugs or that type of thing. But sometimes we are living in extended families. There's multiple influences. The school environment, parents are struggling to support their children through the difficulties through this environment as well. We often see children are going through difficulties at school with perhaps things like bullying or they're struggling with their schoolwork. And parents are just unsure of how to go about to help their child or to support them through these difficulties. So there's also a strong sense of helplessness from many parents. They know their child is struggling, they can see it, they're not sure what to do. Even if they perhaps do reach out to people who are connected to the problem, they're not necessarily feeling that they have the skills to reach out in a way that's going to be effective. So that's going to perhaps come to some type of a resolution or some way that the child can feel supported or helped through this difficulties that they're going through. And then we still have a lot of social influences. So the influence from social media as well. Parents are feeling that their children are spending more time in the online world, and they are withdrawing from the family. They're withdrawing from the real world, so to say. And then the subsequent effects of that is that children are not necessarily being able to develop as sort of as expected. So in a previous show, I think we covered the stages of development. And children's development is very much connected to the world around them and the experiences that they go through. So when they are spending a lot of time online, it is impacting their development. So we're talking about the social development, the intellectual development, the critical thinking skills, the interpersonal relationships, the concept of the world around them. It's very much being affected by the amount of time they're spending online. So if you look at certain research which talks about the amount of time children should spend online, for the first, I believe, 3 years or 4 years, it talks about children should not have any time online because of how critical that developmental stage is for children. So I don't know if we can go straight into the topic of the healthy relationship skills, the relationship building skills. Um,
Before you go there, I think one of the big issues here, I think, is really to do with communication. Um, I think I've said this to you often enough that parenting doesn't come with a handbook. It doesn't give us the steps on how to be effective parents so that we have grounded, stable children who are not going to go outside of the home to seek perhaps answers or validation. And oftentimes, when they do that, that's when they get into trouble. So let's look at the whole issue around communication. And as you respond to that as well, is there ever such a thing as a perfect family and happily ever after? Or are we talking about from time immemorial that because you're dealing with humans, you're talking about different people with different personalities, that you are going to have challenges in the relationship, whether it's husband and wife, brother to brother, parent to child, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law. All of those dynamics are impacted by the different personalities and your different sets of emotions, life experiences, your ideas about how this relationship should be playing out. And we all want to be in control. I think that's one of the other issues, isn't it? It's communication and control. So over to you.
No, exactly what you're talking about. You asked if there's a perfect family. I believe they are a set of robots that are one-dimensional and there is nothing more to them. That would be the perfect family. They don't really exist. Um, People are multidimensional. There's so much to them. Like you mentioned, also these personalities, there's just a whole range of humaneness that's within a person, and they interact together, and this is what impacts our relationships as well. So one of the key things of how we can connect with each other is through effective communication. And this, like you said, it transcends different types of relationships. So it's not just parent and child, it's brothers, siblings, parent, and their own the child's friends, the child's circle, so even teachers. So communication is critical to managing the child's world. And first and foremost, as parents, also, like you said, there's no particular perfect handbook to follow. So as children grow, parents start to learn more about their children as well. You've got to be able to connect to your child, to be able to be in tune to how they are, so you can start learning a bit about how they would respond, about their feelings. And that actually starts with the parent knowing themselves. So when we do parenting sessions with our parents who come through for counseling, We always started with the parent knowing themselves. Self-awareness is a basic building block of counseling, and we do it in all other areas of counseling as well. That self-awareness is the parent actually connecting with themselves first, knowing how they feel in the moment, their thoughts around particular behaviors, sometimes even things like irritations. So if a parent, for example, gets constantly irritated with a certain behavior, for example, if an extreme one would be if, for example, dishes are not in a perfect line and a child is going to leave a dish out of line and a parent has irritations around that, we need parents to be self-aware, to recognize also which of their behaviors and what is it that's impacting their parenting from the parent side. So knowing themselves also allows them to know when they are in a good space and knowing also how they communicate with the world around them. So if a parent themselves doesn't have very effective communication skills, so generally, even in their other relationships, in their work environment, in the social relationships, if they struggle with that, they're most likely also going to struggle with communicating with their child, because ultimately also what we push to parents is that parents are the model of the behaviors that we want our children to implement. Parents are the model first and foremost. Because as a parent, if you want your child to be able to be, let's say, assertive in in the school environment. But as a parent, you're not necessarily displaying assertive behavior. You're constantly aggressive. So when your child sees you dealing with a challenge, when your child sees you wanting to obtain something, and they see you go about in a very aggressive way, or when they see you communicating with people aggressively, your child is most likely going to repeat that because now this is what they've learned.
We've got to go for an ad break. When we come back, we'll continue this discussion, bearing in mind we'll probably have only 10 minutes left to wrap up. So many more questions. So I do look forward to talking some more on the show regarding the relationship building skills for parent and child.
Banks of the Crocodile River bordering the Kruger National Park. As a guest at Buckler's Africa Lodge, one can enjoy an amazing sunrise or sunset on our spacious deck area while you catch a glimpse of some wildlife sightings along the Crocodile River. The sounds of the African savannah will greet you whilst you enjoy your morning coffee. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Buckler's Africa Lodge is ideally situated only 6 kilometers from the Crocodile Bridge Gate in the Kruger National Park. Catering for all travelers with variety, we have 4 types of the finest rooms: superior rooms, deluxe suites, and 2-bedroomed family units. Each room is equipped with the finest amenities to make your stay unforgettable. Guests can choose between the self-catering option or book their accommodation with breakfast and dinner included. Buckler's Africa Lodge is your ideal location for the ultimate Kruger getaway experience. We specialize in exhilarating and educational game drives in Kruger, tailor-made to suit your family. Inquire about our various accommodation offerings and other activities. Visit www.tingana.co.za for more information. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Experience the pulse of Africa with us.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic, Sharia, and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. a full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity.
Welcome back. It's 11:49 and my guest is Shuhaida Adam. She's a social worker from Islamic Careline. We're talking about relationship building skills for parent and child. And Shuhaida, clearly we've only got 10 minutes left. We're not going to be able to really unpack this conversation as we'd like to. So please do remember where we leave off today, because we need to pick up in our next session again, because I think this is such an important discussion. If it happens to be ongoing, then we need to see it through, inshallah. Back to you to pick up from where I interrupted you.
Okay, so let's just quickly wrap up around communication. I think that we've emphasized just how important communication is. But what exactly are we talking about with communication? So communication in actual practice, one of the key skills we teach parents is active listening. Okay, so listening is a skill, and people say it's an art form as well. We've got to practice actual listening. Oftentimes people are sort of listening just to respond. So they hear what you're saying, but they're quickly already formulating responses in their mind. So they can hear you on a very superficial level. We try to teach parents to listen actively. So parents, first of all, when you are modeling active listening, that's exactly what you're doing. You're modeling it. Your child is also going to learn listening and active listening from you that they can then implement in the world around them. So active listening talks about listening without interrupting, letting your child finish their sentence without interrupting. Just that attentiveness, that eye contact, that direct connection with the child shows that you're paying attention, and it also gives them the message that they are of value. What they're saying is important and that it matters. And you as a parent, you're taking note of what they say. So active listening also talks about a little bit about responding. So when they're talking, having a very calm demeanor when you're listening to them. So even if it's a tense situation, the child is maybe messed up about something and these tensions are rising, but if you are able to model active listening just by nodding and listening to the child, and then the second part is then responding back to them to show that understand what you're trying to say. So you can repeat what they're trying to say, or you can sort of, we call it paraphrasing. So you can just reword what they say to show that I understand what you as the child are trying to say. It doesn't necessarily I agree with you, but I do hear what you're saying right now. And if I'm correct, this is why you did that action or whatever the case is, right? Use I statements. So be careful of labeling the child and saying something like, oh, you very naughty child. You can say something about, for example, well, that was a very dangerous behavior that happened right now. So I think we need to be a lot more careful when we're playing with other children. Okay, so, and when you use the I statements, you're also showing the child that we take ownership for how we feel. As a parent, you can also express your feelings. It's not that you have to be seen as the perfect parent who is always managing emotions and has no real feelings whatsoever. As a parent, you can say, I feel upset when this happens, or I feel scared when you jump off a very high platform or something like that. So when you talk about how you feel, it's a nice way also is to say how you feel and why you feel that way. Use age-appropriate behavior, age-appropriate words as well. So you would also want to keep it a lot more simpler when you're speaking to younger children. I feel scared when you run off without telling me. So you can say that for smaller children, but as they get older, you want to expand your sentences with them. You want to engage more. So you can expand on that. You can share with them. But again, age appropriate. You don't want to overburden the child with heavy emotions that you are going through, especially if perhaps there's other conflict going on in your life or other difficulties in other interpersonal relationships. Be very, very conscious of the boundaries with your child. You want to share with them that you are human, and as a parent, you're also struggling, and you also want to model to them how they can manage their emotions. And so if you can show how you manage your emotions, so you can say something like, I'm feeling really sad. So for smaller children, I'm feeling really sad right now. I think I need a hug. Okay, and then maybe you can go to your co-parent or your spouse or whoever, and then you get a nice hug from them. And then you show the child, hey, that really helped. I feel a little bit better. As they get older, you can talk about, I'm feeling very overwhelmed. This is too much for me to deal with right now. I need some time out, and I'm going to come back and we're going to deal with that situation, maybe in 15 minutes or something. And then you show them also how something like timeout can be effective. You take that time out. You try and contain yourself. You deal with that situation. You deal with yourself in the moment first, and then you can come back and deal with the situation at hand. So that's basic communication we try to have our parents develop. Oftentimes, they've never really experienced this in their own home environment growing up as a child themselves. So it takes a bit of practice for parents really to get there. So we really unpack the communication loop with parents and how they can then start trying to implement positive communication and effective communication with their child. And then
Okay,
another
Shuhaida, I do need to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. We're talking communication, and unfortunately, there are times when we do have to interrupt. We've got about 5 minutes to wrap up time, and I'm let me put this final question to you regarding, and let's hone in on interruptions. So you're having this engagement with the person, with the child, and because the child doesn't know how to deal with the situation due to fear, trauma, embarrassment, they will keep interrupting you because and the interruption is a deflection technique, is it not?
Yes, it can be. It can be. And then you as the parent, we want you to actually mirror. You want to be a mirror for the child. So if you as the parent are also in a state of high anxiety at that point, very, very alert, the child is also most likely going to pick up on that. But when you also, if the child is constantly interrupting, you can actually point that out. Then hold on. I'm still explaining ABC to you. You can point out that the child is interrupting. So when they're smaller, you want to say, okay, I just want to say this first. But when they're older, you can use the word interrupt, but in a very safe way. So they must be able to just recognize, hey, I'm interrupting, but I'll stop that. So we don't want them to feel that that you're not faulting them or you are upsetting them for interrupting. They may shut down, so they may close off and they may not say anything, and we don't want that. We've just got to point it out to them that they are interrupting, create that consciousness for them. Because also, this is them also going to be taking it into their other their school environments. Other children and other adults will not probably take too kindly to them interrupting. It can affect their social relationships as well. So you can point it out, but like you said, also sometimes children, when they are scared of how they fear how the parent is going to respond, they may then try to deflect, as you said. And oftentimes, children will lie about a situation when they are also afraid of how the parent is going to respond. Sometimes children are already used to their parents being aggressive. So
And do you
they...
call them out? Here I am interrupting you again with 2 minutes to go. Do you call them out if you suspect that they're lying? How do you deal with that situation without making them feel shameful about having told a fib or a lie?
Okay, so you can point out the sort of the discrepancy that you picked up or what you know. Sometimes it's very obvious. You've seen it with your own eyes, and you can point it out and you can say something gently like, "Is that really what happened? I think I saw exactly what happened, and I know that's not what happened." Okay, so again, age appropriate, but you would try to use calm tone and neutral words. So age appropriate, when they're younger, you want to use a lot more affection, a lot more love, and we can encourage them to tell the truth. We can encourage them about how it's such a great value and great trait to have, that we always speak what's true, and you really appreciate it when they tell you what's true, and you thank them for telling the truth when they're younger. When they're older, you want to use a little more neutral terms. You want to still come from a place of love and kindness, but a little perhaps more firmness. So obviously it depends on what the situation is. It might need firmness, it will need boundaries, but you will have to, if you can pick up, you will have to point it out that that's not what happened. And sometimes you can leave it at that I don't believe that's what happened. But in your own way, you as a parent, you're going to have to tell the child that as much as I don't believe that, I find that very hard to believe. Nonetheless, if that's what you're still saying, we still have to work on a way forward. And that's what we can maybe speak at our next show, also looking at conflict
Inshallah.
resolution.
Inshallah.
Your child is adamant that this is their version and it's your version. We have to come
Okay.
to a middle way with.
All right, we need to leave it there, but let me just end on this final note. It is okay to say to the child that I think best we leave this conversation for another time because I'm not comfortable. I can see you're not comfortable as well. Let's leave it off. Think about what you've said to me. Think about what is, in fact, the correct version, and we will discuss this either this afternoon or tomorrow, whatever. But yes, we'll talk conflict resolution in I think 3 weeks time. I think you and I need to actually have these sessions every 2 weeks. Clearly, the time is not enough, but always a pleasure chatting to you, Shuhaida Adam, and of course the amazing work that Islamic Careline is actually doing. And by way of our partnership, we can empower and uplift families around our area. So thank you once again, and I accept from you and from Islamic Careline. Till the next time, I hope in 2 weeks' time we can talk some more.
Sure, inshallah. We really enjoy these conversations, and special thanks to Salam Media for hosting us today. We really appreciate it.
Amen. 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 It is 1 minute after 12 o'clock. That was Shuhaida Adam, social worker from Islamic Careline. We were talking about, obviously, relationship building skills for parent and child. And I think this is such a deep, deep conversation that we're going to be stretching it over a couple of weeks. So please do make sure that you tune in the next time Shuhaida joins us right here on Mid-Morning Talk. Let's go for our ad break and continue our interviews for today. Our next guest is Tracy Aitken. She's a founder and CEO of the Zoe Project.